Did somebody say sweater pumpkins? Because I have made a bunch in 3 different styles. And how this project started was I have a bunch of sweaters that either my daughter can't fit into, I can't fit into, or I'll never wear again because I'm no longer going into corporate America. So I decided to make a stack of them. I have so many plans to upcycle these, but the first step was making sweater pumpkins. So if you've got one or a stack of sweaters you're never gonna wear again, then this is your opportunity to make something super duper cool. Before we get into the tutorial part, I wanted to introduce you to somebody. Come on, Craftsy. Meet the Mixed Domestic YouTube community. Mixed Domestic YouTube community, meet Craftsy, the sponsor of today's video. If Craftsy is new to you, it is an online community of sewists, crafters, makers, creators, learning awesome information about a plethora of different crafts. There are actually over 2,000 courses that you can take from in 20 different areas, including crochet, knitting, crafting, quilting, cooking, baking, woodworking, and so much more. I even have a couple classes over there, and I found one of my projects, which was this floor pillow. It's English paper piece on the front. It's got a handle. You can carry it, and then you can put it on the floor and cop a squat. Instructors, including myself, are super passionate about their craft. And then get this right now, the first 1,000 people who click the link in the description below will get premium Craftsy for $1.49 the entire year. That's an awesome deal. So if you are ready to get your craft on, whatever that craft may be, check out Craftsy. These right here are not Halloween pumpkins. Of course, yes, you can use them for Halloween decor, but these are cool enough for all year round, depending on your aesthetic. And where you land all depends on the sweaters that you have to cut into. So if you are ready for a next level sweater pumpkin experience, then stick around and let's have some fun. Outside of the sweaters, these are the supplies that I'm going to need. These are going to be used to create some structure and some buoyancy for the pumpkins. These wires are going to be used to create the leaves and the stem with this nice silver fabric. And also some heat and bond ultra hold. And then every crafter's nemesis, this hot glue gun, will be used to affix some of the pieces together. And the final thing are some tapestry needles because they have big eyes that will hold this twill. Of all the sweaters that I have to cut into, I think that these 3 are going to create the most dynamic, unique ones. This because, wow, 4 colors and 1 pumpkin. This is super interesting, I think. And then the texture here will be really dynamic. And then all 3 go together. Since I'm the most curious about what this one's gonna look like, let me go ahead and cut these first. Like so. I think I can get 4 out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4 pumpkins. So this is where we are headed with these amazing sweater pumpkins. This is a very like winter-esque situation with these pumpkins. First, all we need is the portion of the sweater that you cut out. The length that you cut out will determine how big it can get. And I'm gonna try and get this one as big as possible. So the first thing is to turn it inside out. I am going to start at the wider end and try and cinch it to where it's even. Since I want to make this as big as possible, I'm going to get it as close to the end as I can without creating a gap. I just pull it a little bit, make sure that all of the ends are there, and ta-da, just turn it right side out now. And this is the bottom, and it is secure. I'm using Hobbs blended fiber, simply stuffing, 100% polyester. What I like to do before I insert any of this polyester stuffing is to split it apart as much as possible without making a mess. And this will ensure that it's not lumpy bumpy when it gets in there and it's evenly distributed. Now I'm just gonna jam pack it full of stuffing, put as much as I can. And trust me, whenever you put stuffing in these sweater pumpkins, you're going to think that you might be putting too much in there, but wow, yeah, they shrink down. I think I've sufficiently stuffed this as much as possible without popping that bottom rubber band. So now I'm going to grab the top like so and do the same here. And this is going to not only close it, but create the base of the stem. Rubber band, 2, 3, ta-da. And instead of starting with a ball, I like to start with like a smushed. I want it to be smushed, flattened, because then it will come up. So next we are going to create these indentions. Grab your tapestry needle if you have a large yarn needle and you can get it through, that's great. I did not have a twill that would match here or blend into the background, so I'm using a cotton yarn, which is dense and won't break as I use it. And I'm going to start at the bottom here, create an entry and an exit point. like so. I'm just gonna tie this in a double knot, leaving enough of a tail that I can use. Now I'm going to go up, so go up one side and go under this rubber band. So, and then come out the other side under that rubber band, like so. And then I like to keep it symmetrical when I go, so keep it here, create a new entry and exit point, like so. And then I want to make sure both sides are taut. Right now it's kind of creating like a little butt. Next, I'm going to go up where that seam line is. This, once again, going under the rubber band and going under the rubber band on the other side. You can't even see the seam now. And then do the same thing here. And then I am going to just keep going until it looks good. Before I continue going, I found that with this pattern and this type of sweater, if I accentuate the symmetry in the pattern, whoa, it looks super cool. And now I finished, but I've got these tails that I need to weave in. And just kind of find a spot where it'll be hidden. Go a little bit in here, pull it out, right? And just trim that. No one will know. I'm gonna do the same with the others. Final thing here is, in this stem, I've got this bendable wire that I'm going to stick in the center of that base of the stem, inserting it into the pumpkin so it has some stability. So now I'm going to use this yarn to wrap around the raw edges of the stem that are there as tightly as possible so that it will be a firm, steady base for my stem. Ta-da! I'm just gonna leave this right here. It's all gonna be hidden once I wrap the stem. So next up is to create all of this silver gorgeousness. I have my glue gun, got this pumpkin, and then I have a bias strip of the silver fabric. For those that don't know what a bias strip is, it's cut on the diagonal of fabric, so it's stretchier than if it's straight grain, which doesn't have that stretch. I'm going to start at the base. So you can see it's already starting to be ooey gooey. I'll take this right here. I found it easier if there's like a flat 45-degree angle right here. Start here, wrapping it. Like so. See how that is nice and secure along the bottom. Put some glue right here along this edge. Since that's the edge that I want secure, I will begin wrapping it. Once you get into the wire, you don't have to get super tight, but I just want the ends to be tight so I can make like a little curly Q. So now that I'm at the end, I'm gonna put a glob of glue right there and then just make that as tight as possible. Trim the excess. I'll put this aside and let this dry while we create the next steps. Next up is to create the leaves, which I'm excited about. I have 2 different sizes of pumpkin leaf shapes. You can get the template in the link below if you'd like to use these. Put these aside for now. Some Ultra Hold Heat and Bond, a couple wires that are trimmed to the length that I want. And then I have more of this fabric. So the first step is to place the heat and bond right on that crease. I'm gonna heat set that in place. The way this works is you can remove this, press it back over on that fold just to get it started. And then I'm gonna insert the wire, just estimating where the leaves will go right here. One of them's bigger. Now I'm going to super duper heat set this part. I'm just pressing, making sure until it's set. Cool thing about heat and bond is when you use it, then it keeps the fabric from fraying. So it'll hold the shape and look cute. I'm gonna let this cool, come back and cut. I'm going to take the shape and place it on here. Kind of sort of how the leaf would line up. Then I'm gonna use my sew tights to keep it in place while I cut it. There we go, that one's in place. Then I got a dot for the smaller one. Do the same thing here. I'm going to use this excess here to make the curly cues around here. Now with this in place, I'm just going to cut the outline. And then ta-da, just like that, we have a leaf. I'll cut out the bigger one and then we'll make the curly cues. To create the strips from the curly cues, I'm just going to trim off this fold and then cut like 1/4-inch strips, as many as I can get out of this section that has the heat and bond on it. Yeah, that's perfect. This is where we create the dimension. So I'm going to bend the leaves a little bit just to give it some 3D flair. So these are done. Now to make these permanently curly cued, what I'm going to do, I have a chopstick. I'm going to start on one end grab my tape, tape this, make sure it doesn't move, like so. And I'm gonna wrap it. And then tape the end. Ta-da. And now I'm bringing in my blow dryer. I'm gonna put it on high heat. I'm going to reheat these in the curled position, let it cool, and it will stay in a curlicue. Once they've gotten nice and hot and then cooled, remove the tape. Ta-da! It's just like curling your hair. Boing, boing, boing. Got a curlicue. Now it's ready to finish the pumpkin. And I think I want this to be the front. I just will look around, see what will make a good front. Ta-da! And I like that. And so the first thing I'm gonna do is curl this wire how I want it to land. Ooh, I'm feeling that. And I got my glue gun out. I got my 3 curlicues. I got my 2 leaves. And now I want to position them. Where do I want them? I think 1 leaf right there. Oh yeah, look at that. Maybe 1 leaf in the background. Look at that. Ah! It's so cute. I'm going to glue these down just so they stay in place before I add the curlicues. I just put a dab of glue underneath the leaf. A dab of glue there. Since I already got some glue there that's leaking out, I'll use that for a curlicue. I'm going to position the other 2 off camera so I can look at it, and then I'll show you the finished pumpkins. These I can see in like a white winter wonderland. But wow, look at these. Shimmery silver fabric. So this style I felt called for a natural aesthetic, and the texture of burlap was everything that I wanted. I used a cut up burlap bag that I had for groceries for the leaves. I had burlap ribbon for the stems. And then I used the same technique that I used for the heat and bond fabric for the burlap, and it absolutely made curlicues. And then the final one, I felt like this needed some like ooh la la. So I used some of my glisten opulence that I had left to create the leaves, and then a different color for the stems. So sweater pumpkins 3 ways, 3 styles, 3 aesthetics, 3 different materials. 100% awesome. So I hope that you loved this sweater pumpkin tutorial as much as I did making it. When I began, I didn't know where it was going to land. I never have made these before, and I was not going to rush it, and I needed it to be next level, and I needed it to be something that I was going to be proud of. 1, to have around my house, and then 2, to share with you. And I think I came up with some Neato Mosquito styles and some Neato Mosquito tips and tricks to help you create these next level sweater pumpkins. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure to subscribe and then hit that bell to get notified anytime a new video comes up. Until next time, happy sewing.